Okay.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to our very last stream of the year. This one, if you can't tell, is a special one. We're doing a holiday one. More specifically, we're going to be creating a candy cane night. And to those of you who are just joining for the first time, typically we do these every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Time, -5 GMT if you're outside of the States. But this one is actually the last one of the year. So the next 2 weeks, we will not be doing a live stream, and we'll start up in January again. So this one's going to be kind of more of a fun one. And as we start off all of our streams, I'm going to ask you to put where you're watching from, and Joe will do the shout outs.
Yeah. All right. We actually have some questions and shout outs already, so I'm going to read those off.
We have questions already?
Yeah.
Dang.
I know. So, J-Mill says, Konnichiwa from Michigan. Good luck with today's stream.
Thank you.
RX Desu says, hello from Ukraine. Ian Falk says, hello from Canada. Divine Kataroshi says, hello from Poland. Kathy Brown says, hello from Texas. I'm on winter break. Awesome. Need to make this window smaller so I'm not like looking up. Syndrome says, hello from California. Louise Hampson says, where did it go? Evening from England. Welcome back, Louise. Constantine says, hello from Russia. Sid Watson says, hello from St. Louis. Yilou says, bonjour from France.
Bonjour.
Wes Burke, name sounds familiar. Says, hello from CG Cookie Studio.
Oh, no, don't do it. We have bad blood with that one.
Camila Cha says, from Montana, USA. Tidjo says, hi from Belgium. Here, have a cookie.
Tidjo, Merry Christmas to you.
Right? Carol Draw says, hola from Portugal. Ayman says, hello from Saudi Arabia. This is the first time I've seen your stream live. Well, welcome.
Awesome.
I think it's Yari says, hello from Finland. Draw for Life says, hello from England. Evie says, hi from Germany. Toby Fox says, greetings from England. Manmu Art says, hello from Slovakia. Jet says, oh my god, I can join a live stream. Finals are over and no more live streams until I'm back in school. Great. You guys remember me? You did a critique on my painting of Baba Yaga months back. Thank you for that, by the way. Hello from PA. Remember that? You had the cool monster hat with the googly eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Bobby says, hi from New Zealand. And Tim just randomly walked. Einrat says, I'm from Sweden, baby. Yes, you are. Blah, blah, blah. I'm a king says, hi from Austria. And Druffler says, I love both of your rooms. And I think I've gone through all of them. It hasn't updated yet, so.
Awesome. All right. Well, I just finished the marketing, so we're good. All right. Officially, hello, everyone. Welcome to the CG Cookie live stream. I'm Tim von Rueden, and I'm joined by Joe Chico.
Hi.
And today we're going to be doing a candy cane night. So I did a little sketch last night. We're going to do a color pass on it and then hopefully some rendering. And today's going to be kind of a fun one. So if you guys have any questions, even if they don't particularly are what I'm working on, if they're about anything about digital art or getting a job in the industry, concept art tips, or even getting over the frustrations of being an artist sometimes, ask away, and we are here to help answer them. Or if you just want to post something that's kind of funny, and we particularly like puns, so if you have any of those with candy canes, we would love to hear those. And you may have noticed I'm in a different setting. This is the CG Cookie office, and this guy right here is Wes Burke. That is the cookie, like the main cookie baker. He's the one that started and created all of this. So kudos to this guy. All right. So we can actually just switch over. Oh, and I guess any announcements would be, if you weren't here at the very beginning, this is the last live stream of the year. So the next 2 weeks, don't look for one. There won't be anything. But in January, we're going to be starting up again, and we're going to be starting strong. We got exercises coming back. We've got a whole kind of slew of what we want to do for 2016. So we're excited to announce that for you guys. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and just switch over now and start shading our night here. And you know what? Wait. Before I do that, I actually went out with Wes and I got references. So I got candy canes. As you guys know, I always think it's better to take your own reference pictures so that you can really observe and analyze the material that you're working with. And in this case, it's a candy cane. Now, it's a little different when it's in the wrapper. It actually creates more of this uneven gloss surface appearance, which is not what we're trying to create. There is going to be some unevenness, but I'm not sure how well you'll be able to see this. But for the most part, when the highlight is on it, it's pretty straightforward, but then there's like little indents or cracks implying that it was handmade. It's not like completely smooth surfaced. And the reason I really wanted reference is to color pick, because there are some really rich reds, but you can see how they're more on the edge of the candy cane. So when we're putting that on our character, we're going to have those deeper colors more on the rim of the character. They're going to lighten up slightly near the middle, and then the highlight is what's really going to make it pop and kind of sell the whole idea that this is a candy cane. Okay, so let's switch over. And I'm sure, like, oops. There we go. Oh, Joe, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay.
Someone asked where my Santa hat was, and I was like, I forgot my Santa hat, and I don't know where I think it's downstairs. But that's okay. And I was gonna get my lightsaber anyway because it's Star Wars week for me.
Actually, it is Star Wars week. Oh, you know what? Actually, now that I look at it, the mug that I'm drinking out of is Star Wars. That's kind of ironic. Okay, let me switch back over. All right, so here's a little sketch that I whipped out, and his name is Kane. And what we're going to be doing is incorporating the idea of the material of candy cane and implementing into the character. Now, this was supposed to be more as like a promotion for the contest, which will be in January. And it'll probably be along the same lines of a peppermint night or a candy cane night, however you want to word it. But I started out with the initial sketch on paper. I actually did 2 iterations. The first one, or no, 3. The first one was terrible, and the second one was all right. And then I took what I liked from the second one and applied it on the third one, which is what we got here. So I'm going to kind of have fun with this one. I've been doing so many realism studies lately that even though the material is realistic, the proportions and the character himself are more in a fun manner. So I'm going to hopefully have fun with this one as well. Let's see here. What do I... All right, I'm going to make this layer actually a multiply layer. Then I'm going to paint underneath of this pencil sketch. So I actually just took a picture of it with my phone, and then I uploaded it to my computer, and I'm just changing it to a multiply layer. This allows me to paint underneath. So let me grab a red here. And you can still see the lines that we have created still intact. So I'm going to use this as kind of my base. And actually, I really like that red. I'm going to keep it on the side here. But you can see how the multiply layer will darken your colors. It'll make them more rich and bold. So I'm going to actually put the color on top of the multiply layer so that I have the original color intact if I need to color pick from it. Actually, maybe I'll drop in some of the colors I may color pick from right now. So I like going in with a pretty solid palette in mind. So we got all the reds for the red stripes of the cane. Now let me grab. Now the white part isn't actually white. It's like a creamy color. You know what? Let me get rid of that. There we go. So I'm going to pull some of those cream colors from the reference photo that I took. And then the highlight will be the very last thing. So I'm not even focusing on any highlight detail yet. Yeah, so that looks like a good palette to me. And then the wrapper, the part of the little tuft that comes out of the helmet in the back is actually the wrapper on a peppermint candy when it's wrapped. I think it's just a little sliver of plastic. So to create that illusion, I'm actually going to have to make a third color here. And it's going to incorporate a lot of that background element since this material, the wrapper, is translucent, like you can see right through it. It's going to rely more heavily on the highlights and letting that background color bleed through. All right, so now I'm going to go ahead and lay out a base. And if you guys have any questions or comments, I guess while I'm creating the base, this would be a good time to do it.
All right. Evie says candy puns. I'll see what I can do.
Hey, there we go.
That's a good one.
Started off right.
Alexis Mayfield says, whenever Tim says, oh, his Wisconsin accent comes out.
Oh, you think that, eh?
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 From Canada.
Moving even more north.
Right. J Mill says, hi, Wes.
Hi.
Someone else said, or no, it's Tigil. Tigil says, hi, Mr. Boss Cookie Man.
The formalities are respectable.
Camila says, first stream, super excited. Welcome to the first stream.
This is a fun one to kind of be the first one to join. And you know what? I actually think I would love suggestions from the community. So like if you see something on this character that you think could be enhanced, like the cape, for instance, I really wasn't sure how to incorporate the candy cane material, but I wanted it to have some kind of a shape to give it more of a silhouette. But usually I like to have the elements that the character is wearing kind of make sense. So like having a peppermint be his shield, or like the candy cane when you, as a kid, when you sharpen them into like points would be his lance, like things like that that kind of have more of a story to them I like, but having just a cape for cape's sake I think is kind of weak. So if you guys have any ideas, I would love to hear them.
I have an idea.
I'll
save it though.
I want to hear it. What's your idea?
I was thinking like maybe like taffy, like a taffy cape. Yeah, I'm trying to think of what else is like candy Christmas. That is like
yeah,
like a
or like like I mean I could do more of the wrapper, but like did you ever have the grandparent that always kept like a jar of hard candies, or like the ribbon hard candy? Or wait, let me see if I can find oh, here it is. Yeah, I really wanted to incorporate like this kind of a.
Oh yeah.
So I think if I got more detailed with this character, like that I was to take this further, that would be something I'd want to incorporate for sure. Actually, maybe I'll leave that on here as my reference.
That looks delicious.
Right, and I love the rendering of that. Oh, and the other thing that, as we're looking at the candy cane, let me see if I have my example. Oh, let me switch over. When doing a material study like this, really analyze what the material is you're working with. And in the case of a candy cane, you can see how the stripes aren't actually all the same. So in this case, it's actually a large stripe, a thin stripe, and then a double stripe. And adding this kind of a particular detail, it may seem like no one would really notice that, but it does add just slightly different flair to it that it wouldn't have if it was just the same stripe everywhere. So just breaking it up, even with something as simple as the line thickness and how many there are, can really add to the piece. So let me switch back here. And admittedly, I am working with two of my favorite color combinations. So this red and cream, I really like working with.
Carrie Sada says, hello, Tim and Joe. Thank you for the critique last week. I love your Christmas decorations.
Thank you. And yes, we are probably going to have our next user critique stream in February. So if that is or February or March, one of the two. And if that's something that interests you, be sure to drop in your submission so that you might be one of the submissions that we critique live.
Everyone's saying the cape should be the candy wrapper.
Yeah, I kind of like that idea too. You know what? I almost don't like it being so symmetrical on the top of the head. I think I'm going to change that.
What color will his hair be? Will he be redheaded?
I think so.
That's from Kathy Brown.
Apparently, I have an affinity for characters with red hair.
Keldra asks, do you think that for someone who draws, there is a right time to start learning 3D?
I don't know if there's a right time, but I definitely think learning that helped me a lot with understanding depth and occlusion shadows, and just kind of seeing your character in a 3D space helps the understanding of like how values are placed when you add a light to the scene. So I don't know if there's a particular specific time, but I do think at least dabbling in 3D helps out.
I'm not. Says, your thoughts on sketching daily for X hours or spending the same time with a finished piece spread over a few days?
I think both are good. I don't think limiting yourself to just one is a good idea, because admittedly, I think I spend too much time finishing one piece and I don't spend enough time doing quick sketches. But I really do think they can go hand in hand, where if you do more like quick sketches, I think you become more efficient with your time. But I think as an illustrator, you become more effective in kind of rendering materials and showcasing like the details that you often don't do when you're doing like quick sketch stuff. So I would say try to do both. Or if anything, I would actually take one of your quick sketches and then try to turn it into a finished render. I think that would actually be like the best case scenario.
Eric Desu asks, I tend to flip and rotate canvas so I can make strokes in a direction that I'm used to. Will it hurt me in the long term or does it matter?
No, I don't think that'll hurt you in the long run. No, I think you're fine. I think it's your process. Like every artist has a different process on creating art. So if that is a part of your technique, I don't think that'll hamper you. If anything, if it makes you more effective as an artist, I don't see any reason to try to do away with it. Unless if you really feel like it's impeding on your time, like you spend way too much time rotating and you're like self-aware that it's taking too much time.
I was gonna say if it goes along with the technique, like if you're heavy reliant on brushstrokes and your brushstrokes are not following form and stuff, I could see that being a hindrance.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, like if you're flipping the canvas, that's super important anyway.
Yeah, you should always be flipping your canvas.
Yeah, to be checking. Carol Draw asks, any tips on drawing or painting facial hair? I can't seem to get it right.
When drawing facial hair, I can't really do an example on this guy, but make sure it looks like it is incorporated into the face. So like if this was your jawline, I think it becomes most noticeable when you just like lay it on top. There needs to be a transition between the hair and the skin. And it doesn't have to be anything drastic, but even like a shade that you lay under the hair to give more a transition, like the 5 o'clock shadow before you add the beard, I think is a good way to kind of practice that. I'm trying to think if I like this helmet being so asymmetrical or not. You know what? I'm going to do a quick test and see what it looks like symmetrical. I'll use this as somewhere else in the design.
Mike Tisdale asks, does everybody have their Star Wars tickets?
I do not. I actually am planning to watch it in probably a few weeks after the hype kind of dies down a bit.
Yeah, of course I have my tickets. I am so excited for this movie. I'm not asks, what's the size of your canvas?
My canvas is a 10 by 10. It's kind of like my default whenever I'm doing a square piece. It's like just big enough where I can do detailing, but small enough where it will still post on Facebook without Facebook completely destroying the quality of the image.
J Mill says, my 9-year-old said your knight has great ideas, Tim. The shield and weapons were his favorite. He wants to see a candy horse.
That'd actually be pretty awesome.
J Mill also says, maybe make the stripes on the helmet go downward and symmetrical.
Oh yeah, maybe that would feel better. I think it feels too thick right now.
We can do it.
What?
Camille says, we can do it.
Oh, gotcha.
Nerdy Beauty asks, when would you use the multiply layer, and doesn't that change the color you originally picked once you started painting on that layer?
Yes, that's why I'm very careful of, I don't color pick. Well, right now I'm working above the layer. So when I do my base foundation, I work below it. But then when I actually get into painting, I draw above. Because like what you said, yeah, if you try to color pick, it won't actually pick the color that we want to pick, unfortunately. It'll choose the multiply version of that color. So yes, if you're using multiply, just be very aware of when you're choosing your colors and what layer you're on.
Ian Falcon says, is this a royal candy cane night?
Yes.
Is he royal?
Actually, what?
Is he royalty?
He's not, but I'm sure, assuming he guards like a candy king of some sort. But when I was drawing him, I pictured him in my mind as he takes his job a little too seriously, like to a fault. And he's very stubborn and persistent on doing things to the book. So that's kind of how I see this character.
Like, is he like non-threatening in his world where everyone's like, you're adorable, but he doesn't want to be adorable?
Did you ever play like Final Fantasy IX? A Steiner, that kind of a knight?
No.
Or what's another good example? I guess he's the kind of character like he's not that big of a threat, but like he knows what he's doing. And like if he got into a battle of whatever kind, I don't know what he'd be fighting exactly. But he would perform his task, I guess is the best way to say it.
K Moran says neck ruffles.
Ooh. I could possibly give some neck ruffles to this guy.
Manamu Art asks, will there be a live stream about line art anytime soon?
Possibly. I mean, I know we're not doing a live stream for the next 2 weeks, but when we come back, we do want to incorporate more exercises into, since we're bringing exercises back, we want to bring those back into the live streams. Where before I would do an exercise every 2 weeks, and then the live stream during one of those weeks would have to do with the exercise. So I think if we did a line art exercise, you would definitely see a line art live stream follow suit. All right, now as I said earlier, I'm darkening the edge of the red areas and letting the area near the center be just a tint lighter so that we get more of that richness of the red on the edge. Yeah, no, I'm going to try to do it on top of the helmet too.
Smoke Illustration says, I have a job as a concept artist. I am starting as a concept artist the 4th of January. Worked for 15 years in a mattress factory. Best tip I can give, never give up the dream and keep practicing every day. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle. Congratulations.
That is awesome. Yeah, really, congratulations.
Persistent and hard work. I wonder where he's working at. Bobby says, my cat won't get off my sketchbook.
I don't know if I have a stick to follow that. Maybe they'd get a dog. They'd tend not to do that.
Toby Fox asks, how would you go about painting a villain without using cliches like spikes, dark colors, and slanted eyebrows?
I guess it depends on your audience. So if you're doing ones that are more generated at like kids, or if you want to do more of a kids movie, I think that's where you see those like over-exaggerated forms appear. Even actually, as I was collecting reference for this Candy Night, I don't know if you guys have ever played Candyland, but the villain is Lord Licorice, and he actually has this really crazy cool design to him, but he definitely has those elements of angles, and it's angular. But when you're designing a villain just for a typical, I don't want to say movie, but like anytime a game or a scenario, I guess if you want the perception of him to be the villain, it's just so much easier to add shape language that expresses it. But if you are looking to be more kind of like coy about who the villain is, then I would avoid doing those kind of like go-tos when designing a villain. And when you're thinking of your villain, try to have them be interesting and in-depth. I think the more in-depth a villain is, it has more of almost a relatability as to maybe why they're considered evil. And in that, then I feel like they're more relatable. And that's what makes them feel more real. I think maybe that's more of like what makes a villain feel more real. But when designing them, then you have this more real aspect, and you can add touches in that make them feel more human or more likable or relatable.
Who's your favorite villain?
Of all time is Maleficent, the original from Sleeping Beauty. But I really, really like the Penguin from Batman Returns. I just find him to be like the most impractical villain. I don't know why he even is considered a villain. I just see him as like this child of unfortunate circumstances that gains into power through this like weird stroke of luck, but then he can't. I don't know. I really like the Penguin. But in terms of like video games,
Yeah, I was like, besides like Disney.
I feel like video game actually Maleficent was in Kingdom Hearts. Maybe that's where it was like double for me. Man, favorite villain in a video game. I think I wouldn't even say any of the Final Fantasies. Yeah, I don't know. I'd have to think about that one actually.
I'm trying to think as well. I think Aizen is probably one of my top from Bleach. He's a pretty good villain. I like villains who are just smarter than the main character. And
wait, the one from Watchmen. I really like him.
Oh, Ozymandias, yeah, he is a classic example of that, where you're just like he outplays the main characters, and you're just like he's right.
Not really a bad guy either.
Yeah,
like he's perceived bad, but he really isn't if you look at it from his perception, I guess. Like in his mind, he's doing the right thing. Like he's the hero, which I find really interesting.
J Mill says one of my favorite villains in a game was Handsome Jack. I actually haven't played Borderlands 2. I have it. I just haven't played all the way through. But he seemed like such a fun villain. Oh man, I was told I should cosplay as him because I look like him. I'm going on the bottom of the list. Micah Tisdale says, "Hey guys." Hi, Mike.
Low.
Exilus says, "I want to get myself out there and trying to do commissions, but asking people to help get popular is like saying, hey, advertise me for free. It's really hard. Advice?" And then they link their Tumblr.
That is really hard. I think you can't rely on other people to market for you. You have to believe in kind of the struggle of doing it on your own. And oh man, yeah, that is kind of tough. You can definitely ask your friends for like advice or help, but I think asking for exposure, I guess, I don't know. I could see either side of this coin, to be completely honest. But the best thing you can do is always rely on yourself first and foremost. So if you want to become more known, like really make strides to make that happen. Don't ask someone else to make that happen for you.
I was going to say, and be consistent with your art. Like, constantly be working and showing that you're working every day. I think that's really important for gathering attention, I guess, is making sure that, you know, people see that you're active. Oh yeah, Ivan G says, "Did you guys see the Cloud and Bayonetta are in Smash Bros?"
I did. I actually, oh, this is going to sound kind of bad. I don't play video games anymore. It's not that I don't like them. I just don't have time for them. But I know a lot of people are super excited. I know, being a Final Fantasy fan, I love the idea of having Cloud and Smash, but
He actually came out last night.
Oh.
Yeah. Tyler was playing him last night. He seemed really interesting as far as the character goes. But did you see that the roster for, like, they keep adding Fire Emblem characters? They added a character named Corrin from the new one.
See, I'm so far removed. I have no idea who that even is.
You should check it out because the design for that character is actually pretty cool.
Oh yeah, I like the designs of stuff. Yeah, that I'll check out.
Tigil says, "What on earth am I going to do for 2 weeks without live streams?" Sad face.
Oh.
You're going to draw.
Yeah.
That's what you're going to do.
We believe in you.
Anna asks, "Was the theme for the next competition a candy cane night, or is it just the mascot for it? I missed what you said about that."
Initially, I was just going to do like a fun Christmas theme live stream, but then I decided, why not like have fun with what I kind of want the contest to be. So it'll probably be a candy cane night, probably, unless if something drastic happens or inspiration hits hard in another direction. Oh, I love working with this really dark, deep red.
Mike asks, "Will we get a video on action poses for next year?"
Possibly. We don't really have the whole. I know we really want to get through the fundamental one first, and then from there, I know we want to have some fun ones. I actually am thinking of dabbling in a pencil course, more of like a traditional take on doing art techniques. So we'll see. I think we're going to have more fun with experimenting with different tutorials after, actually alongside the fundamental ones.
Valerie asks, "Can you guys do a live stream on how to draw Final Fantasy characters?"
Some would argue that I only do live streams on Final Fantasy characters. Yeah.
Actually, that'd be
If you're talking about like the Tetsuya Nomura style, that's definitely more specific. Like that, I would do a little different than what I normally do, because that style is it's awesome, but it's a particular one to kind of try to emulate, I guess.
But man, is it a good style?
I love it. You know what? I think I'm gonna make the front of his mask red, because I feel like there's so much striping going on. It almost could border as a distraction.
He's looking super evil,
Ugh.
and I think it's because to me he looks like a clown.
Oh, he's supposed to look like Mr. Mint from Candyland. Okay, maybe I'll work with that perception of evil.
I think it's just because his hair is like red and he's wearing striped red stuff.
Probably doesn't help that I'm like incorporating this blood dark red.
That and the highlights are like that, like that white right there. It looks like an eyeball, so it's like evil eyes.
Oh, yeah, they can change that.
Elboid asks, how do you pick an interesting palette without looking unnatural while reacting to light?
Whew. This is where I think I rely on reference, and I try to take my own reference pictures. Because like what you said, it sometimes is hard when you, especially incorporating in a lighting scenario, it can look very strange very fast. So be very aware of the colors that you're working with and making sure that they're cohesive.
Oh, where'd that question just go? Ivan G asks, Joe, who shot first, Greedo or Han? This could be a very long discussion, but I'm just going to keep it short and say that Han shot first. And I think George Lucas, him changing that was kind of ridiculous. Sin Drawing says, why not make his hair green? It makes the contrast from the red and cream hues that you are choosing from.
I could. It may look strange. I'll try to incorporate. Actually, I think green is the weirdest hair color to have on a character. So let me see if I can incorporate, because like immediately I think Joker. So if I can do this without it being Joker, then I would like it. I just have a feeling, especially with this like hair flip. Well, who knows? Well, let's give it a test. Why not? I think the best part about doing concept art is experimenting.
Drawful Life asks, do you get inspiration from watching TV shows like The Walking Dead?
Sometimes. Admittedly, I like shows that are more of like a creation based. So Face Off is, if you guys watch this stream, you know I'm a big fan of Face Off. Project Runway. Any of the competition shows where you see people that are passionate about what they're doing and they're competing against each other, and that competition is something that I've always related to. Actually, I really like the green hair. We're going to keep the green hair. And I think it's inspiring just to watch people that are really passionate, like go above and beyond. And that inspires me more than anything. But especially with like a face-off show, of course I can get inspired by how they mold the facial features and where they add color in areas, or even with like fashion shows, the way that they drape clothing or the reasoning for why they have a belt come around in a certain loop or whatever it might be. So yeah, I definitely get inspired by that.
We're getting questions about your brush. Matthew Stricker wants to know, what brush are you using, and is it your go-to brush? And then somebody else said, since you're only using one brush, it goes to show you that you only need one brush. You don't need a bunch of brushes to make awesome art.
Very true. And this is actually the chalk brush. It's a free one that you can actually download on, why do I keep saying actually, on cgcookie.com. It's in the free brush pack and it's under the resources. So let me make it really big. This is the chalk brush. It is essentially, it has a touch of texture, but if you look at it really closely, I've always wanted to redo this one because it has like this weird circle punch cutout texture to it. But when it's really small, it gives the impression of like a sketchbook or something along those lines. So I think that's why I've always gravitated toward it. But if you lay it on really light, you can see how you can get like a really solid, or like really heavy, you can get a solid. But if you do it somewhere in between, you get that textured look. But I feel like I've used this brush for so long now that it's like muscle memory. It's reactionary on how hard to push and where to push down on it. So yeah. Let's see here. I'm going to actually pull up a candy wrapper reference so that I can do top part of this. Actually, I kind of like the other side better. Because remember, reference is key when you're drawing stuff that's unfamiliar territory.
Tigil asks, would you guys ever get a tattoo, or do you already have one? What could it be? And ever design a tattoo for someone else? Would it be scary to know that your art will be on someone's body forever? That's a lot of pressure.
At first it was. Now it's kind of fun. I've designed, I think it's 4 tattoos for people. The first one I remember being like really nervous, and I would go slower, and I'd be like, oh my gosh, like this has to be perfect. This is gonna be on someone's body. But I think I've calmed down quite a bit. And personally, I do not have any tattoos. I don't see myself actually getting a tattoo. If I did, it would probably be one of those sentimental ones with a family member or family members, maybe my little brothers or like my cousins that I consider brothers. But besides that, not too much. But I really am a big fan of tattoos that are, what's that called? It's like, it's not in alignment with the body, but it like follows the forms and the curves, and they're just like solid shapes. Those are my absolute favorite tattoos. I love seeing them on people, and I love incorporating those into my characters as well.
So I've designed, I think, three tattoos, and those were in college when I designed those. I totally forgot about doing those. And I was like, oh yeah. And do I have any tattoos? No. Would I ever get one? I think if I were to get one, I'd probably get my astrological sign, which is Leo. I'd probably get that on my forearm. Tigil also says, isn't another American Christmas candy those triangles with red and green and white? Maybe you can use those as well.
Yeah, candy corn. Or I'm thinking you're talking candy corn. Typically, those are Halloweeny.
Is it
what?
Is it a gumdrop?
Maybe. I guess you might have to link us a picture, Tigil.
Or maybe what is it? Hershey Kisses?
Do they have multi-layered colors though?
It says just those triangles with red and green and white.
You're gonna have to link us that one.
I am not asks, do you think it's important to have an art buddy or do you think it's important to have art buddies who are close to your own skill level? The ones I've had the last couple of years were probably a bit early on in their training.
Yeah. Admittedly, yes. And having, I think, different levels of artist skills around you is good to have. And I'm trying to think of the best way to word this. I think it comes down to the idea of when you're around and you're surrounded by people that are better than you and you can acknowledge that, I don't know if it's subconsciously, but you make the effort to get on their level and you like work harder and you work faster and eventually you will get on their level. And the same can be almost said on the opposite. And I only know this because I've talked to people that have gone through this similar experiences, because personally I've worked at CG Cookie where I haven't really had kind of another concept artist to bounce ideas back on. I've had 3D artists that I could get critique and feedback from, but in terms of like that competition or that back and forth of getting inspired by what they're drawing or the techniques that they're using, I haven't really had that since I was in college. But when I was in college, I loved it. I loved everything about having someone I could just like quickly reference and ask about what they think and get their opinion. And maybe they're using a new technique and I could try it out for myself. So I think it's good to have varying levels, because you want to have people that you can give criticism and feedback to, so that way it kind of balances out, where not only are you receiving that positive encouraging of like, I want to get better, but you're also giving it to the people that you would consider maybe not quite at the same skill level, maybe a little bit below.
Ian Falcon asks, Tim, what do you search for looking for a reference?
When it comes to Google image search, I usually type in whatever it is I'm looking at and then isolated. You'll actually be surprised by how many images there are of like a manatee on a white background, and there's no interference of the environment. It's just whatever the object is on a white background. Maybe that green is too harsh. Let me see if I can. Actually, I'm gonna put the green on its own layer and we're gonna try out some colors here.
Wow, this one is +8. How many hours a day do you and Joe draw on a good day, and how much of it is practice / warm-up stuff?
I guess it varies for the day. Some days, like with Cookie, I think people think I draw a lot with Cookie, but a lot of it is back end and creating tutorials. So typically during my work day, I'm not drawing that much. In my spare time, though, I would say anywhere between, I guess an average would be like 2 hours a night is about honest. And if I was drawing like during a movie, it's kind of like one of those lazy drawings where I'll draw kind of at a slower pace. It's more relaxing for me. But on a good day where like I'm inspired, it could be anywhere between like 8 and 12. And I'll go really, really late into the night.
I was gonna say, if you have a good day, most likely you don't even know how many hours you've done. Like,
yeah, that's a good way to put it.
You know. And I don't really do warm-ups. Do you?
No, I should, but I don't.
Usually it's just go.
Yeah, I kind of like this minty color.
Amen asks, when I draw for fun, everyone can see my style, but when I do commission work, somehow my style disappears and my drawings become flat. Any advice on how to force my style into commission drawings?
That can be tough. I can actually relate to that, where you feel like you're trying to please the other person. So maybe you're doing techniques or you're doing a style that doesn't fit what you would normally do. But a lot of it comes down to what the commission is and who is commissioning you. Because some of it might be they're commissioning you for your style, your look. Regardless of what reference or what they ask you to do, they still want it to look like your style. So I would say try to find a healthy mix of pleasing the customer in this case, and also still having it reflect you and what your art says. And having that, or finding what that is, I think would be best for you.
Luis Kim says, "Don't you just love modern technology? I had to nip out to the supermarket and was able to listen to you guys while driving." That's pretty cool.
That's pretty funny.
Coda Payne says, I have been on CG Cookie for a short time and I wasn't sure I was going to like it, and I don't. I love it. It's the first time I've been able to do something like this, and it's a great experience. Thanks, guys."
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. It's good to hear feedback like that. We really appreciate it. Syndrome says, "It's too bad that you can't draw a candy princess in the background. That would be adorable."
I was even joking with Wes earlier that all these candy characters that I'm creating, I actually did a chocolate one last year. Actually, let me find it really quick. But the idea was eventually there'd be so many candy characters that we could just create our own little book or whatever out of it. Where are you, Jimmy? There you are. Oh, that's the old one. There you are. Okay, hold on. And it's so funny seeing like my old styles still. There you are. Actually, maybe I'll keep them on the side as a reference. We'll keep them up there. But I love the subject matter of candy. I think there's so much, not only in the materials that you can work with, but like color play and the representation of what candy is and what it means to people. I think it's just a fun subject matter to explore.
Smoke Illustrations says, "Thank you," because he's the one that got the concept job. Says, "I'm starting an in-house at a theme concepts for amusement and theme parks and festivals, and they sculpt and create. That's so cool."
Oh, that is cool.
Again, congratulations. Carol Draw asks, "If you use a skin brush, will you use it from the beginning, or will you use it only for final touch-ups?"
The skin brush? I don't even know I would use that for this one, but if like you're talking just in general, no, I think I would actually use that for most of throughout. Let me grab the skin brush. Skin brush is great for blending and creating a soft transition. And sometimes with like even the chalk brush, I love the chalk brush, but it does create more of this harsher look. So I would probably use the skin brush to soften areas out, and I would do it throughout. And then maybe do some touch-ups at the very end, maybe.
A couple people are recommending maybe doing the shield as a green candy cane and then doing the hair in white so it doesn't look as evil.
Because the green is still evil.
Yeah.
Ish. I mean, he could be an evil knight. I guess I never really considered that. Maybe subconsciously I'm making him really dark. Ugh, the Dark Knight.
Evie says, "I have phases in which I make a lot of studies, try to learn and improve as much as possible. During those phases, however, I barely ever do presentable finished pieces. Would you say that I should push myself to do a real picture every once in a while?"
Yeah, I think it's good to have that balance of experimenting, but still kind of progressing your own style. And I think to do that, you do have to spend more time on a piece. I think doing only quick stuff, you're not allowing yourself to grow as much as you would if you really like took the time to sit with your piece and look at what you're creating there.
Coda Payne asks, I'm trying to make my own webcomic and I've gotten a good amount done on it. Now, where do I put it and how do I draw attention to it?
I've actually talked to a few people about this. Apparently, creating a webcomic is one of the hardest things to do because you have to be okay with the idea that no one's going to see it for like the first year. So if you can get it like through, if you are okay with the idea that this thing that you're working really hard on is going to be kind of unnoticed or unseen for a long extension of time, and then it maybe will get picked up in a year. If you can do that, like it definitely takes a lot of perseverance to really go at doing an online comic. So don't just think if you've done like a few pages and no one's really looked at it that, you know, it's time to give up, because that's like the opposite of the case. You want to kind of persevere and push through those years, or hopefully those only months that it won't be recognized. And you have to believe in your product that you're making. And also, I think there needs to be some level of self criticism or being self-aware of if this is even a product that people want to read. There's so much out there that to really grab people's attention, you kind of really have to stand out in some kind of a way. And if you aren't standing out in some kind of way, then you probably won't get noticed. So having something incorporated into either the story or the arc or the art, I mean, something that really makes you stand out amongst the rest, I think is a good starting point.
Pons asks, I've been putting aside and focused on drawing. Is there a good level of drawing at which I should achieve before jumping into digital painting and color?
No. I think just you need to jump into it. And the more that you experiment and the more that actually having that might make it easier, because then you don't have like this high expectation of it should look amazing and perfect from the get-go. You're allowing yourself to make mistakes. And I think through that process is how you really grow and learn the most.
Eric Stesu says, my works are finally getting feedback from people. I've been pressing F5 on my DA and Twitter pages nonstop for the past few days to see if anyone commented and stuff. I should probably stop doing that, but I can't. Did this happen to you?
I think when I first started out, I remember posting or like creating a DeviantArt account for the first time. And anytime I would post, I would kind of like just sit and wait. But nothing would ever happen because I didn't really have followers and I wasn't known, and the art I was creating was more for me. It wasn't like fan art or anything. So yeah, I wouldn't really get responses on anything. And I never really let that get to me though. It was always like, it was understood that I wasn't known, or like the art that I was creating, it wasn't fan art. So like for me to get comments, it seemed almost unrealistic. And I think once you get over that idea, then it becomes a lot easier to just continually post your art and not worry about if it's getting likes or reshares. I think there is kind of a hole that you can get sucked into. And admittedly, I've been there at points in my career where you do look at the likes and the comments that you get, and it does affect you, because then you look at what works, what doesn't work, and then that whole debate in your mind happens of, well, should I create more of what's working, or should I keep exploring things that are new? So I don't know. It's a good thing to have, at least that you're paying attention, but don't let it run your life, I guess is the best way to put it.
Camila says, I've been trying at realism and such, but I never actually learned to even painting effects on a toony drawing type drawing.
Wait, was that the question?
I'm trying to think of how I could reword that.
Okay. So they're trying to add realism to more of like a cartoony style.
Yeah.
All right. So like even this character, Right now, it's probably not a good representation of realism, but I've just started adding like a light source. And I'm trying to have the material reflect that. It's fun. Admittedly, it's fun, in my opinion, to add realism to such a stylized character, such a stylized look. Because then I think it's when you see the best of both worlds. I think with realism, it can be sometimes more static or boring, but it shows a level of the understanding of material and like the lighting, having it be such a realistic lighting effect, just is interesting for the eye to look at. Whereas things that are more stylized or cartoony, it has that surface level of it's in a really dynamic pose, or the shapes are really large and interesting. And then if you mix that, the best of what I think makes stylized art so great, mixed with what I think the best of realism is, I think that's when you get the best of both worlds. So even things like animated movies, I think do it kind of in that whole regard, where it's like it has these cartoony shapes and exaggerated forms, but the realism is very beautiful in the rendering. You see it with like DreamWorks and Pixar. Then when you start to see it go a little too far, I think The Good Dinosaur is kind of a debate with people on the environments are super realistic, but then the dinosaurs themselves are more stylized looking. So I think that has more of a clash effect where it wasn't in harmony with each other, but when it's in harmony, where you get things like Wreck-It Ralph, and that's where I think it really shines.
Well, because Uncanny Valley, right?
No, because that deals more with like people though. Or like it's not real enough. Where I think with The Good Dinosaur, the environments were too real, and they should have made it more cartoony in their proportions and forms, or even their color choices. I feel like even color could just signify something that's more stylized.
Oh, people want to know what the question of the week is.
Question of the week.
What's your favorite candy?
Oh, that, and I think something that I've been wanting to know is what exercise would you want to see in 2016?
Digital says Christmas theme and Star Wars week at the same time. Let's give him a candy cane lightsaber.
Be like glowing red. Then he really would look like a villain. Or just Darth Maul it.
Ian fucking says, I feel like the color red makes someone look evil like the red lightsaber.
You know what's really funny? I was actually going to write this in I have a little journal in my sketchbook. Last night I fell asleep at the office, and in the back room there's an exit sign that's like glowing red. And I remember the thought that came to my mind was like comforted. For some reason, red is like comforting to me. I don't understand the evil thing that people get with red. For me, I've always, or not always, I would say in the last like 2 years, I've really enjoyed the color red, and it's like home to me. Maybe that says something about my person. I don't know.
I think it's the idea that people associate red with anger.
See, I associate it with passion.
Seeing red, you know?
Yeah.
I also feel like it's energy. Like for me, red is like energy. For some reason, I feel energized when I see it. Searching through these. Toby Fox asks, do you consider anything you've painted previously a piece of fine art? If not, what's the difference in your mind between illustration and fine art?
Do you consider any of my previous pieces fine art? if I was to look at my stuff objectively, I would say no. I personally would love the idea of someone seeing some of my previous work as fine art, but I don't think it's quite hit that level yet. No, like, I mean, art's in the eye of the beholder and all that other stuff. But if I was to give you an honest look at myself, I would say no. I haven't done anything yet that I would consider fine art. I would say everything I've done is illustrative, if that was the question.
I'm getting a couple things for next year people want to see. Pawns wants to see pencil shading techniques. Kathy Brown says chocolate for life, also for shortening. I love a digital drawing exercise, although I've been practicing, my digital lines are still pretty bad compared to the lines. A couple people are saying they want to see line work. Perspective exercises in 2016. You'll get them, don't worry. Oh man, there was... I keep moving around. Mecca Tisdale says action poses, steampunk, early 19th fashions, and how to make cute animals. Oh man, there was one that was about... Oh, there it is. I'm Not says, I would love to see something less rendered or fundamental and delve more into the process of developing an idea or design or figuring out compositions.
Okay.
Christina asks, so do you perceive fine art versus... just moved. There it is. Do you perceive fine art versus illustration as difference in quality rather than just subject matter and purpose?
I think, well, at least for me, fine art is something that it takes... Well, okay, I guess first, there's a difference for me in the quality and the idea of a piece. And I think true fine art is like the perfect mixture of the both. So it has a quality to it, but it also has a message that was trying to be stated. And let me turn this off really quick. All right. And for me, I don't think I've had any piece that I would consider a quality that was also trying to be a message or something that was along those lines.
I find that odd because I feel like illustrations can be fine art.
Oh, they certainly can. That one's very, I would say, relative. For me, I guess I'm very critical. So even if I was looking at my own stuff, I'd be very critical of my own work too.
Chris says, yes, finally made it to a stream. Welcome to the stream.
Welcome.
Evie says, oh, composition exercises would be great too. Nathanielson says, Tim embraced the dark side.
I think I am with this guy.
Coda says you should do a comparative style exercise.
We did, actually. And that one you can find on CG Cookie.
Yeah, I'll link that one on the description. Tijo says, how to sharpen a mechanical pencil would be a great tutorial. I can't seem to do it.
I would love to watch you try.
Nerdy Beauty asks, I love... Oh, no, wait, sorry. I just moved. Hold on. Hey, Tim, I know you always say flip the canvas every once in a while, but how about rotating it instead? Would that be a good practice as well, like you're drawing on regular paper?
Yeah, I think so. I think it gives you like a new perspective. Like, let me see if I... How about this? I'll work on it like this for a little bit. There we go.
J Mill says, give Peppermint Knight a spear, then he will be a spearmint.
I like that. Oh, I wonder what if we just took out the hair.
Oh, you just got a bunch of static in.
Oh, sorry.
Your mic is staticky for some reason.
Hello?
Try muting it and then unmuting it.
Yellow?
Nope, still static.
Is it just you or is it everyone?
That's a good question.
To the community, or I sound horrible right now if it is staticky. Are you able to hear me all right?
I'm asking Vigil.
Oh, you know what? I like him better without the hair.
Yeah, Vigil's saying he hears it too.
Hmm.
Try unplugging your mic and plugging it back in.
Still?
No, it's perfect.
All right.
Fixed. Ha!
Beautiful.
Overcome technology. Everyone's saying, everyone!
What?
It says everyone. Everyone is hearing static, but it's gone now.
Oh, gotcha.
My ears! Pun says, how to draw hair would be cool too. I tend to make mine either fuzzy or messy or too simplistic and boring.
Yeah. Here's a fun one to do.
I mean, I think the first exercise you ever did was a hair exercise. So.
No, that was the second one. First one was a face.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah.
I always remember that. The rest of them I can't keep in order, but I can remember the very first one.
Haley from Paramore.
Yeah.
Ben's Rayan asks, I'm not comfortable for drawing environments and landscapes. Do we have any tips?
I guess, okay, because I don't feel comfortable with environments or landscapes either. I guess the first question is why? Is it because you're not good at the thumbnailing process, or is it about, I mean, there's a lot of elements that go into environment design. And I do think it's a lot different in the design process than doing characters. So I think treating it differently is a good way. So when you're doing it, work fast and efficiently and work with thumbnails first. I don't know any environment artist that doesn't try to like jot down some quick versions of what landscape they see in their head first. And Feng Zhu said it best about having a more diverse, what's that called? Visual library. And when doing environments, if you're doing a castle, don't just go to cookie cutter fantasy castle. Really try to think about what elements you're going to add that kind of make it unique to what you are bringing to the table of a fantasy castle. And try to have like different perspectives on it. Actually, you should have a great perspective knowledge. I think that is key for an environment artist. And then have fun with it. I think too many environment artists get too technical with things and they like want to render out everything, but letting it be more implied in areas, I think helps so much more than trying to render everything out.
Carol Draws asks, or says, I would like to see a stream on creating creatures and make them look realistic.
Yeah, that I would like to do too.
Chris asks, will there be more traditional next year?
I think so. I actually just had a conversation about that, and I think there will be.
Digital wants to know, are you giving the helmet a metal type reflection or a candy cane type reflection? How do you pick?
Candy cane. How do I pick? I think I look at the character that I'm trying to create, and like in this world, I think it's more a reflection of how metal, like what it would be replaced with. And a candy cane kind of treats lighting in a similar manner. So I think what I'm doing is I'm doing candy cane, but it's also reflective of the metal property, even though it's not metal. And right here, I'm just using the selection tool to help create a quick swirl on our peppermint shield here.
I'm not asks, do you tend to focus on the fun parts of a drawing and then start to rush the rest as you get bored with a piece?
I definitely start with the fun parts, but I don't rush. I actually just get like frustrated at the less than fun parts, but I never try to rush it. Really?
Yeah.
Hold on.
I wonder if it's the microphone.
It could also. How about now?
It's gone for now. Sorry, you were saying?
Never rush the areas that aren't as fun. I think that is what separates artists that take the time to really be patient with their pieces and the ones that try to just rush it out. So even if you're uncomfortable with a specific area of your piece, just try to push through it. I promise it'll be so worth it down the line of doing art.
Camila asks, is it easier to sketch on paper first than digital color after that?
For me personally, yes, but I think that is another one that varies from artist to artist. Some artists find it easier to sketch in digital and then just go from there.
Coda Payne asks, with everything going digital now, where do you see different forms of art going in the future? And what about things like metal etching?
You know what's funny is I'm already feeling like I'm seeing the reverse of that happen. I'm seeing more people revert to traditional because I think digital has a perception now of being easy and it's not as impressive. So I don't ever see it going away, to be completely honest. I do see a lot of new things coming out that I think are fun and exciting. The things about, I know Joe really likes the, like where you put on the, I don't even think it's, what is that called?
The VR?
But it's for sculpting and painting. isn't a specific product. Well, either way, I think like a lot of artists will have fun in using that, and it's a great tool, but I don't think it'll ever replace traditional.
Well, no, because it's I think it's James Cameron said that the fastest it's pencil and paper will never nothing will trump that as far as speed goes, because it's like accessible right there, you know.
Really? He said that?
Yeah.
I actually think that's the first thing I disagree with him. Like if someone wanted to do like silhouettes, like I find it so much easier digital.
Yeah, but I mean, if you were out at a coffee shop, or
Oh, that way. Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Like
or if
convenient.
you're like walking down the street and someone like was like, I have this idea, and you like just draw it out really fast.
Yeah. Okay. That makes more sense.
Yeah. Oh no, like thumbnails, you know, if you have a computer in front of you, it's like
Yeah. It's like you can whip that out so quick.
Toby Fox wants to know, can we have a traditional painting live stream?
Traditional painting? Yeah. I don't see why not.
Jamil asks, speaking of exercises, I'm having a hard time with the necklace in exercise 1.
Oh, yeah, that is dreaded. I know exactly what you're talking about.
Do you have any advice?
Patience. Go slow and don't rush it. Trust me, I had to paint it. I know what that's like. It's just a lot of little detail work. I mean, if you wanted to make it feel more implied, I think the rest of the piece needs to feel implied too. So that's where it gets a little tougher. But I would just take your time. That would be my advice. Take your time and do all those little details. It is worth it in the end. It really is. Oh, I know what I can give this guy. Give him like these things. There we go. That feels better with the negative space now.
Oh, that's right. And you're sorry. New Moon Gazelle says, sorry I'm late. I just came back from watching Star Wars The Force Awakens. Might as well ask a quick question. Do you ever sketch in a physical sketchbook daily? I'm trying to draw a sketch every night before I fall asleep.
Do you ever sketch? Yeah, actually, I keep one next to my bedside and I draw on it every night. Actually, you know what? I'll go grab it. I was actually drawing last night here.
And I'd like to note that I am extremely jealous that other countries got to see it a day prior than here. Oh man, it's okay though. It's okay. No spoilers.
Oh, it was right in front of me. Okay, hold on. So yes, this is my sketchbook. Nothing particular. There's the little knight that I doodled yesterday, along with the other iterations, which I will not show. And this is what I was drawing. For me, there's something more relaxing doing traditional than digital right now. So actually this one, I call it one of my personal inner demons, and this is the king of self-sabotage. So that's what I was working on last night. I think with traditional, I don't know, there's something about it that you just can't recreate digitally. I think that's why I'm so drawn to it right now.
That paper feels so good.
And I guess, yeah, if you're curious about which sketchbook you should get if you're doing pencil drawings, I try not to work with a really flimsy one. So look at the paper weight at the front of your sketchbook. So in this case, it's usually on the bottom. This is a 90-pound paper. And typically it's like a vellum surface. It's thicker and it has a slight texture to it. It's not quite watercolor paper, but it's like right in between loose leaf and watercolor. So So something if you're wanting to do more pencil drawings. All right, let me see with this guy. I think his cape will be that wrapper. I just got to rework it. So to do that, we're just going to take it out.
Camille asks, are you able to submit any of the exercises at any time?
Yeah, of course. I know with the new ones that we're going to have next year, there'll be more of the structure that we have with 5.0. So the things about like grading and having it be voted upon, that will be more implied with the new ones. But yeah, the old ones you can definitely do whenever and submit them. And you don't even have to go in order. I've had a few people ask me like, do I have to start at 1 and go on? Like, no, just find one that you find relevant to what you're trying to learn at the moment and do it.
Digital asks, when your house was suddenly on fire and you only had the chance to save one drawing / sketchbook, which one would it be? By the way, you're home alone and no one else is in danger.
All right. The one sketch would probably be the first one that is the cover of my sketchbook, my 2013 through 2014 sketchbook. That one just means a lot to me, and it kind of started this whole trend of doing more traditional ones. But in terms of what sketchbook I would save, all of the sketchbooks that I have are empty for the most part because I tear out every drawing that I do. For those of you who don't know, I was at a convention about a year ago, and I left my backpack outside of a car when I was dropped off. And unfortunately, when I came back, once I realized I left my backpack, it was gone. Someone stole my backpack, and it had a sketchbook in it, and the sketchbook was almost complete. So ever since then, I've never like kept a full sketchbook intact because I'm so worried about losing all the art in it. So immediately when I finish something, I tear it out, I take a picture of it, I scan it, and I keep it in a closet. So actually, if my house was on fire, I would just go to that drawer that's in the closet, and I would just pull all of them out and carry as many as I can with me outside.
Pull the drawer out.
What?
I was going to say just pull the
Right,
drawer
take
out.
the drawer, yeah.
I was going to say I wouldn't probably pick up any of my sketchbooks. I would just yank my computer out. And
What?
Yeah, because most of them, I sketch in my sketchbooks, but all those are just studies. And I have, well, my new sketchbook is kind of my idea book for my project, but I feel like I can recreate a lot of that because a lot of it is also writing. But that's also saved on my computer. So I probably have more sketches on my computer than I do in my sketchbook, so I could just pull the whole thing out and just run out the door.
Admittedly, I feel like a Dropbox junkie. Like I have everything on Dropbox too. It's like my computer, you could literally like smash it. I would be like, all right, let me get a new one. All right, I'm gonna do some color balancing. It's feeling a bit wonky in areas. There we go. I needed more of that purple hue to stand out. I know you guys can't see what I'm doing, but I pulled up the color balance, which is like a slider bar that has different color levels on your primaries and your secondaries. And you can tone the balance between the shadows, the midtones, and the highlights. And I usually fuss with this when the colors I'm working with aren't quite up to what I want to work with. So you can see before and after. Got a lot more color play with our purple. And sometimes it's a bit too much and I can just downplay that, but I'd rather work with colors that I feel comfortable with and I feel express what I'm going for more than colors that are there just because like candy canes are red, you know, but the colors here are more of this purple hue.
Camille asks, you guys are helpful for a lot of people. Do you reply to notes over DeviantArt or other places?
Oof. I apologize in advance to anyone that sends me a message to DeviantArt, my Tumblr, my Facebook, my Instagram. It takes me a while to get back to people. I do, though. If you look at my Facebook history, I've gotten back to every single person. I have a 100% reply rate. It's just the reply rate average speed, I think, is at 7 weeks. I promise you it's not intentional. It's just sometimes it's overbearing, and I don't even have time to talk to my art friends. And so I apologize if you're trying to get a hold of me and I haven't gotten back to you yet.
Yari asks, are you going to be doing critiques in the future?
Yes, we typically do one per season. So we did the winter one last week, and the next one will probably be in March. It'll be sometime in the spring. Oof. Okay, so here's something that I can kind of show you guys. I'm having a lot of fun right now with this bounce light, this like ambient purple. So if we're assuming that the light is catching on this really strong part of his front piece here, we get some of that bounce light reflected on this red part of the helmet. I'm still not even sure what the red part is, but I'm already assuming it's reflective. I'm going to have that showcased with the reflection of this bounce light of this really intense white color. It creates just that cool gradient going up of the helmet. And actually, I really like what's going on in the shadow here too. There wouldn't really be a highlight present because it doesn't make sense. But then as soon as it reaches the area where light can be seen, that's when the highlight would start. It would probably have a touch more of a gradient of color. So I guess I can add that. But it really wouldn't make sense for there to be a very strong highlight in an area of shadow.
Anna Balin asks, do either of you have personal Tumblrs outside of the CC one?
Yeah, on Tumblr, pretty much on everywhere except for DeviantArt, I am vonn with 2 N's art. And then Joe, what's yours?
Man, I need to. I post Instagram more than I post to Tumblr now.
I know Instagram's where it's at.
I can say if anything.
Oh, did I do this all in one layer? Oh, damn. Oh, it's okay. I can just erase that.
Yeah, if anything, search Joe Chico art on Instagram. That's where most of my personal stuff is now.
Yeah, admittedly, I think I post more to Instagram than anywhere else.
Oh man, I just saw a couple of good questions. Pons asks, any tips on how to draw more?
Oh, I would love to do a whole. Actually, that's one of the tutorials I want to do for the fundamentals. It's called The Mindset of an Artist. And I think that kind of goes right alongside that whole idea. A lot of it is actually, I had a crazy idea last night. It was like this whole story. And it was about what is an artist's worst enemy. And it was going to be this like shadowy figure guiding this girl artist. And it's going through all the insecurities of what an artist has. From it being where, oh, I wrote it down somewhere. It was in my car. But it's pretty much from like time management to doing it for the likes to style to not being good enough to trying to survive with you need it for money. And it was like all these things. And one of them was time. So I think that kind of goes along with your answer or with your question on to draw more. Well, one, there has to be a sense of inspiration and like you want to do it. But the other thing is you got to make the time for it. If you really are passionate about what you're doing, which in this case is drawing, then you should make the time outside of what normally fills up your time to draw and to practice.
He's looking, it's kind of funny that it's like Christmas in Star Wars because he's looking pretty Boba Fett-y, you know?
Who's Boba Fett? No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, you know who Boba Fett is.
Wes throws something at me.
In the back of the head.
It's getting nailed. Yeah, I can definitely see that with this helmet thing. I do want to. I gotta do something with this face piece to make it feel more night-y. Yeah, maybe like throw in some different cuts, or maybe these angular cuts don't make sense for a night. Let me try.
Well,
And this is a good example of let's go try something else.
Well, I think the reason why is because the Mandalorian faceplate is based off of like a Roman headpiece, which is like a knight headpiece. And you have like these side ear things going on, and that's like super Boba Fett.
Oh,
I would wrap the where the red is, like the brighter red that you're using for his face guard. I would wrap those back up and over where his ears are.
here?
Yeah, so those pieces would connect. So down.
Oh, was good. Oh, you know what? I should have, because it's supposed to be like if this was a side view, this is supposed to be like the thing that goes up and down.
Yeah. So it would wrap. It wraps around it.
Oh, you mean like on the side here? Or wait.
Well, it would go on the side where those, like, see how you have the circle thing?
I think this needs to be extended. Oh, wait. I think I get what you're saying. Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can.
Yeah. And then, like, what you're doing with the circle thingies in the middle, that's definitely going to help with that, with it not looking so much like a Mandalorian helmet.
I'm not sure if I like this pink that I use on the top part. I think that's too pinky.
Anybody else says, I think I was about to slap you, Tim.
Now I know who Boba Fett is. I actually watched all the Star Wars movies now. For like the first 26 years of my life, I haven't seen all of them. It was just until like a few weeks ago have I seen all of them now.
We're starting.
Spoiler alert! I know what happens at the end. Actually, I won't even say. There might be a few of you that like were like me and were putting off the last Star Wars movie for whatever reason, and you don't actually know what happens at the very end. But it was a genuine surprise for me. I did not know what was happening at the end was going to happen.
We're starting the marathon tonight.
Are you going to try to watch all of them?
We're not going to try. We're going to do or do not, Tim. There is no try.
It's like one of my favorite quotes, even before I knew that was from Yoda.
New Moon Gazelle asks, I'm trying my hardest to market myself as an artist online, like on Instagram, for example, but I also have a Behance account and recently got an ArtStation account. Any tips on how to take it to the next level of exposure?
This is a good question. Me and my friends talk about this all the time. And I think the end result is always keep creating work that is awesome. The marketing will kind of happen by itself. Like you reach a point where you don't even really have to market anymore because your content is so high in quality and what people are looking for that it's kind of fun just watching it market itself, really. So, I mean, it's good to take all the steps of like, marketing, but I guess, here's a better answer. Make sure you post your art. I think the worst thing you can do is like keep it to yourself or like never post it because you don't want people seeing in progress stuff. That's probably the worst thing you can do because then you're waiting until you create quote unquote good art, but you'll hold on to your art for so long that you'll get in the habit of never posting it, even when it is above quality. And then when you finally reach a point where you think it is worth quality, no one's going to notice because you don't have a following, because no one followed you throughout your entire journey of becoming a better artist. I guess just something to kind of keep in the back of your mind. Always try to post your art. Oh, that feels so much better to me than the old design.
Yeah.
I think. All right, we got like 20 minutes left, I think. We'll take it till 4. Man, we've really had like a consistent stream of comments this entire time.
Yeah.
That's awesome, especially for more of like a fun stream. thank you guys for sticking around for this little candy cane night.
Chris asks, I don't know if this has been answered, but how does one transition from traditional to digital?
I guess short answer, you just do. But how do you do that? You have to experiment with the software. I think I call it a 3-month hump, and it's the transition between working from traditional to digital. And that hump, you have to get over not only learning the new software, which is Photoshop, but you also have to become used to drawing on a tablet and looking down at the tablet, or not looking down at the tablet. Working, your hand is still working down, but now your eyes have to look at this computer screen. So no longer are you looking down at where the point is that you're drawing. Rather, you're drawing on the computer screen based on where your mouse is. And that does take about 3 months. Typically when I was teaching at AI, I was like a teacher's assistant. And it seemed like the entire semester, it took like almost the entire semester for the transition to happen, to become comfortable with the tablet. So that's why I call it the 3-month hump, because it seems to generally take around 3 months to get used to. And that's okay. I think having frustration along the way, or like not understanding everything that Photoshop has to offer, or whatever software you're using, like there's a lot. And as long as you understand that it is a lot and it's gonna take quite a bit of time to kind of comprehend and understand, and let your mind get used to working digitally, it just becomes a lot easier if you allow yourself that excuse for a little bit. I wouldn't even call it an excuse. I would just call it a genuine reasoning. But you can't let that hinder you either. Push past what you think you're capable of and your digital and Photoshop understanding.
Hans asks, even if it's not that good, should I post?
Yep.
Also, where can I find a community to check my art? It's been a long time since I got CC from other than friends and family, but neither knows art.
Well, we just so happen, we have a community post actually, or a forum for CG Cookie members. And it's not like you have to sign up or anything. It's free to anyone, but it's been actually really refreshing to see that you do get feedback on your post. A lot of people do what's called a sketchbook on the community forum, and Joe started this whole idea of posting your sketches, and it's supposed to be more of like a daily thing, but I think some artists just use it as a place to get feedback, and they genuinely do get feedback, and it's not just, that looks good. Like usually they'll get something that's more, not critical, but constructive. And if that's something that maybe interests you, I would check that out. It's just something that personally I've seen, and it's not even like trying to promote something that we created. It is genuinely something that I see active, and it's active in a good way. So I would definitely check that out. Did I give this little guy eyes? Would we really go for like the evil look? And wait, hold on. Okay, if we wanted to talk about like what would make a character look evil, if you do like these half hidden eyes with like a solid rim of a color, and then give it like a really intense highlight, something like that, pretty much immediately screams villain to me. And actually it'd have to be like near the center.
I was gonna say he's looking too cute with the
Yep.
I'm so wide.
I was just about to say that. The farther you place the eyes away from each other, typically you get more of like a cute vibe, which for this character might be kind of ironic, but let me zoom in here. And then if you flip the eye like this, make sure you get rid of that highlight. It doesn't make sense, and it wouldn't be placed on that side. And the eye itself would be more in shadow, so this would actually be a tad darker. Something like that. But I don't know if I want to make this guy evil. And it kind of fits.
I don't think it makes him look too evil. I think he looks serious.
I think the only way I can salvage him looking like a good guy be like opening this up.
Or adding in hints of green. Like a green and red and white candy cane.
I don't know. I'm really kind of set on the whole thing being like this color palette.
I didn't even.
I try it though. I could try it.
I totally didn't even notice that you wiped out his hair.
Yep. He's getting too much of a Joker feel to me.
Yeah. New Moon Gazelle asks, will there be a stream or something about drawing inanimate objects such as a building, weapons, cityscapes, vehicles, and stuff like that? Otherwise, any quick tips?
To be honest, I would probably third party that one out. So if we did something for CG Cookie, I would have another artist that I feel is more comfortable working with that kind of a subject matter. Oh, now he just looks too much like Final Fantasy. Think about that one.
Toby Fox wants to know, has Tim done any more character illustrations like the ones of Red and Chase that we can see?
Yeah, I guess I could give you a preview. Hold on, let me give this guy just some indentation of a cape here. If I'm sticking with the rapper theme, this is probably one of the hardest things to make look like a rapper cape. All right, let's see here. Let me grab. Is this one? This is one. I can show you this one. This one is Nate. He is the criminal. And with his illustration, it's supposed to depict more of like a poor lifestyle. This was the. Actually, I had an earlier interpretation. It's supposed to be next to a window, like an old abandoned warehouse window. And I really wanted contrast between purples and yellows. I think this color combination almost gives off like an uncomfortable feeling. Oh yeah, here was the first one with like the window draping and the character. But such an unnatural lighting scenario like this, I think brings in just a slight hint of uncomfortableness. And I think that kind of describes who the character is too, just living this uncomfortable lifestyle. And then the other one, actually, I have two more I can preview for you guys. This next one is Christina, and she is floating in a pool. And this one is going to be really hard for me because I'm going to actually individually paint all of those squares on the bottom. I've been saving some images on Tumblr and Instagram of people, how they work water to really make this look like she's floating on water. And it kind of deals with her character on how she feels like she's floating through life. And it's everything around her is very elegant. I'm going to have the pool, like everything is rich. There's going to be some gold elements and rose petals, everything that should invoke beauty, but then her face and her lifeless emotion is supposed to contrast that. And then lastly, hopefully I'll be able to finish Chase. And this has been one that I have been on and off for the past 2 years. I don't know, 2.5 years. This has been on my back burner. And I'm actually feeling pretty confident that in January, I'm going to try to pick it up and rework the leaves. I think the biggest thing that bothered me, and I think you guys should probably see it, is that I have a lighting system placed in here, and you can tell by the shadows placed on the skin and on his clothing, but it's not really implemented anywhere else in the scene. And I think that's what was bothering me so much. So I'm going to take another stab at like putting some of that light fall on the leaves and having some cast shadows and really let some of that subsurface scattering on the underside of the leaves be shown. Because I think that's what was lacking in this piece, where it's like he's colorful and in light, and then everything else is like black and dark. And I think I was resorting to black and dark as like a safe zone. So yeah, it's kind of where I'm at with my illustrations. And here's our Kane character.
Pam Ferdinand wants to know, why do you prefer not to show us the entire Photoshop interface?
Because I have the Google Hangout open on the same screen, and you would see that like infinity madness. And also, I have my reference folder open, and then my desktop looks like I am the most scatterbrained person you'd ever meet. So I'd rather not give off that impression, but instead just tell you it. I mean, I guess I could. There could be some streams where I'll show my whole screen. I just think my desktop is. Oh, and typically I have stuff that I'm working on for CG Cookie that I can't show yet. So that's actually more of the real reason.
I'm at asks, I started making more personal work lately, and my fan base growth has slowly slowed down tons. What do I do?
That's natural. I think that if you used to do like a lot of fan art work and then you switch to more personal work, it's natural that they're not inclined to be as intrigued just because it's not something that's familiar to them. And every artist goes through that phase of, well, fan art gets more recognition, but it doesn't like speak volumes about who I am as an artist. So I think if you still want to do fan art, like definitely do fan art. But if you want to do these more personal pieces, but you're like hurt by the idea of people not liking it as much, don't. I can tell you right now on first-hand experience, that's going to happen. But over time, if you really believe in your idea and you really like follow it through, you'll start to see a reaction to the original stuff that you're working on. And it's not that way for everyone. Some people like drawing fan art and that's all they do, and that's fine. But if you really want to draw your own personal stuff, don't take it personally that people won't be as intrigued or your watch count won't be booming as it once was with fan art stuff. That's natural.
New Moon Gazelle asks, could you show us the settings for your brushes used here? If not, in the next stream, please.
Yeah, I guess I can do a quick. Let me show you. And you know what? I'll show you my screen. Let me block out all the other things. I'll switch over here. Oof, infinity. Okay. So on my brush, you can see here, I have shape dynamics. Technically it's turned on, but it's actually not on. I have this weird glitch with Photoshop where if you turn it on and off, it doesn't actually do anything. But I keep the minimum diameter actually at 100. So I don't have shape dynamics turned on, even though it's checked. Dual brush, this is what gives me that texture. Otherwise it'd be more fluid, not fluey. And I keep that on so I can get that texture and then transfer. So that's technically what gives me the pressure of how hard I'm pushing on the tablet. That's mainly the reason I keep it on. So that's what gives me the transitions of areas that I want to work darker versus when I want to push lighter. And the opacity and flow are at 100%. So I actually keep it relatively simple and kind of to the point. But if you want to experiment with maybe the other brush settings or having an opacity that's lower and maybe going over your brushstrokes more, it really does depend on you as the artist. I can't give you a set look at like what is the right way to do it because there is no right way to do it. You know what? I'm going to use my selection tool so I can shape this edge out a bit more because right now it's looking rather sloppy.
Kathy Brown asks, did you ever watch Candy D Camera?
Candy D camera, like Candid camera? Oh, you're punning me right now. I got you. This is the best time to pun me since I'm so like half absorbed in what I'm drawing. My brain is like working at half speed when I hear jokes.
Chris asks, how many new people have uploaded their sketchbooks to the forum? quite a bit. I don't know the actual count. Last time I checked, we had about 36 to 40 sketchbooks on our forums.
I would have even thought more than that.
That was a while ago, though. Tidgel wants to know how many cookies are at the CG Cookie headquarters.
2.5. Right now. But if you mean like...
You mean like people?
Yeah, like people?
2.5 people are here.
2.5 people are here. Obviously.
Toby Fox wants to know, do you guys do portfolio reviews outside of the seasonal live streams?
You know what? I was thinking about this, and I think if we did, it would be for citizen members, and I would give more of like an in-depth critique. I went to actually I've done this twice now. I've gone to a college and done portfolio reviews for the students that were graduating soon, and it was a great experience. I think having a third person perspective come in and kind of critique it without any like prior bias, like they don't know the artists themselves, they don't know who it is that they're critiquing, but what they are critiquing is just purely based on the portfolio that they're given. So in my case, I feel like I was really able to give some solid feedback and help them out. So yeah, I definitely want to do that in the future but it would probably be for citizen members just because of how in-depth I try to go with portfolio reviews. And I think that should be more of like a perk. And I think on a live stream, it would be a little more difficult just because I don't want people to get offended. I don't want to say cold. I'll say more blunt and like straightforward with critiques just because I'm trying to say a lot in a short amount of time. And I want to give them the best portfolio that they can possibly have before they graduate. So I don't want on the stream to feel like you're attacked or your art is being attacked, because it's not. I think it just helps hearing clear, honest feedback on your work, because that is what you need to deliver that final punch right before you graduate.
Do you want to do your final looks or?
Oh yeah, sorry, I'm like lost in painting this guy now. Forever screen. Switch back. Whoop. Google's like, no, you can't. Okay, let me see here. Pencil shading techniques would be nice, absolutely. You can set the eyedropper to only sample current layer. I did not know that. I'm going to actually try to experiment with that. You can make the shield a candy cane concept cookie logo. I kind of like that. Oh, I agree, Tidgel. I should have done some of the environment around him. I have not seen any of Steven Universe yet, but it's on my watch list. Hopefully I can watch some of that over break. The Candy Knight is trying to choose between the dark side and the light side, literally representative of his color choices on him. What artist would I absolutely love to have as a guest on the stream? Actually, next month, if you guys know who Gawky is, she's already agreed to do one with me next month. And she was actually going to be on today. She was going to do a candy cane night with me, but she had a prior appointment that she had to make. So that will be something that we'll be getting into next year. I want to do more guest artist live streams, and we'll probably start incorporating Twitch more, just kind of a heads up for 2016. It's a possibility. We're still experimenting, and we'll let you know when we kind of make a decision one way or the other. If you've seen the new Star Wars, I would love you to message me what happens and who dies, so I can let all my American friends know. I'm sure they would love me for it, right? I'll let them know on Facebook, like Dumbledore dies.
You don't go on Facebook. Serious?
Spoiler.
I have not seen that series, so no, I don't.
There are some funny comments. You guys are pretty great. Yeah, red is my favorite color. Lately, it's been evolving. I would say gold and gray are also two of my favorites right now. Even though gold's not technically a color. He could be guarding Princess Bubblegum. I thought about that actually. I was like, why hasn't anyone done a Candy World before? And I was like, Adventure Time. Okay, I think. Wait, let me try to find one question. I guess this one's a good one to end it off. From Jay Mill. Thank you, Tim and Joe. You guys have been a huge source of encouragement and inspiration for me this year. I will grow beyond needing so much help in the future, but until then, thank you for taking care of me this year, and I look forward to next year. That's awesome feedback. That's why we do these live streams, and we will continue to do them in the future, and that's kind of why we do them. So thank you for that. And that's all I got. So thank you guys for coming to this live stream and for helping me paint through this candy cane night. I might spend some more time on this and try to render them out a bit more, but it was a fun live stream to end the year on, and we will be back the first full week of January. So look forward to that. And any last comment from you, Joe?
Yes. No, if you guys can go check out my perspective course that just launched last week, that'd be awesome. And thanks for joining us on the stream.
Thank you. All right. See you guys in the new year.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas.